Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Poland Daily History. Today we will be talking to Mr. Artur Górniewski, a tour guide who receives hundreds of international guests every year who all yearn to learn more about Polish history. Together we will explore the locations he takes them on in Warsaw, Poland, and Central Eastern Europe. One of the very historically important places in Warsaw is the Jewish ghetto. And as a tour guide, I was wondering where would you take your guests to see and what are the places inside the Jewish ghetto that can put things in a more historical context?
Amazing, important history site requires very important monuments and commemorations.
Yes.
So the first and the most important element is Polin Museum, which is the museum of 1,000 years history of Polish Jews, which was constructed in 2012. Officially, the main exhibition was opened in October 2014, and in 2016 it was given European Best Museum Award. And since that moment on, much more guests are coming to Warsaw.
Right.
And Warsaw becomes a perfect match with Krakow when it comes to sightseeing in Poland. The architecture of the museum is amazing. And it was not Daniel Libeskind who provided his plan for he didn't win the competition to design the museum, even though he designed Holocaust Museum in Berlin, even though he designed Freedom Tower and Ground Zero in New York, and even though he's a Polish Jew born in May of 1946 in Łódź, in a family that survived Holocaust. Then it was not his design that won the competition, but two gentlemen from Finland provided amazingly beautiful idea, the concept of the museum that corresponds with the rest of the area of the ghetto. So the entrance of the museum is in the shape of the Red Sea that was crossed with Moses from Egypt to Promised Lands. And there is an amazing facade, glass facade, on which there are Polish and Hebrew letters, P-O-L-I-N, P-O-L-I-N, Polin, Polin, Polin. So Poland in Hebrew, and there is a legend in here that Polin or Polan, here I stay, here I rest. First Jewish families coming to Poland were saying. Finally, after all these retaliations, repercussions, and inquisitions, I can come to a place where I can rest and stay. Polin. So right in front of the museum there is this monument, extremely important monument, designed by Nathan Rapaport and Leon Suzin. The monument was erected on the 19th of April 1948. Which was 5th anniversary of uprising in territory of Jewish ghetto. There are two monuments. The front facade, the front side, most important one, provided by Nathan Rapaport, presenting Mordechai Anielewicz, 23 years old, leader of the uprising in the ghetto, and next to his left leg there is a man who already died, and then another man who's protecting a child, and then two teenagers on the left and right, 14 and 16 years old, and on the top a lady who protects her child from the flames of burning ghetto. So the interpretation of this monument is following. Doesn't matter if you are young or old, doesn't matter if you are a boy or a girl, doesn't matter if you have something to fight with or not, you fight for your nation, you fight for your dignity, and you fight for your honor. And this is where Willy Brandt, German Chancellor, personally came on 7th of December 1970. He kneeled, put flowers, apologized, and asked for forgiveness. So look at the level of importance of this place. That was the biggest Jewish ghetto in world's history because that was the biggest Jewish agglomeration in Europe. The only uprising took place over there. There were one-day uprisings in Auschwitz, Treblinka, but uprising in territory of Jewish ghetto lasted for 27 days. And this is where Mordechai Anielewicz was leading the uprising. Just steps away, there is a hill made of ruins of Miła 18, when the leader of uprising was leading it, and then he committed a suicide by blowing everything up. So we have a monument over there.
The tragic history of the Polish Jews crammed into the Warsaw Ghetto by the German occupants is reflected in a number of monuments and sites still possible to visit today. Next up, we will talk to Mr. Górniewski about places such as Umschlagsplatz and the famous bridge on Huona Street, connecting the small part of the ghetto with the main ghetto. So Miła 18 is right next to the monument of the uprising.
Exactly. This is where all the most important history things were happening. So that's why there are a lot of important commemorations. There is the station of the Umschlagplatz, so the railway station from where first Jewish families were transported to Treblinka. There is another painting on a wall where Marek Edelman provides a quotation. "It's easy to hate, but love requires effort and sacrifice." There are original elements of Jewish ghetto wall at Miła 18. There is a commemoration of the footbridge that was over Chłodna Street. Everything is marked very precisely on the pavement. Where were the steps? Where was the wall? Where were the buildings, the terraced house destroyed during World War II? What were their numbers? It's even marked with special lines on what level the footbridge was. So almost on every single step in territory of Jewish ghetto, there are commemorations connected with these extremely dark chapters in Polish history.
Right.
But there is another very important thing. When I went to Israel to visit my guests, to sightsee myself,
Sure.
I went to Yad Vashem Museum in Jerusalem, and the main section of the museum is called Warsaw Ghetto Field.
Right.
And on Warsaw Ghetto Field there are two monuments, and both of them are copies from Warsaw.
Okay.
So the two of them, Natan Rapaport, Heroes of Ghetto Uprising monument, and on the other side of the wall there is a monument, there is a sculpture carved in a wall of the marches of death of people who were transported from one concentration camp to another concentration camp, or people who were on the way to gas chambers. So that in the middle of it there is a rabbi or a Jewish man with a bird who holds Torah, so Jewish Bible, and he raises his right hand up asking the God why me and my nation are facing such fate. I kept the rules, he says, by holding Torah in his left hand, and this is the question that he raises when in front of him there is a lady impregnant who is entering the gas chambers, and behind him there is a 2-year-old girl. And the 2-year-old girl is the only one who looks back. Because when she was born in the ghetto, she didn't even see grass. And on the way to the gas chambers there were flowers or roses planted to make people feel comfortable.
Right.
So that's why she looks back, because that was the first time in her life when she saw a rose. And the material out of which the monument was constructed, the special material from Larvik in Norway, was personally ordered by Adolf Hitler, so to construct big Hitler sculpture in territory of destroyed ghetto. According to Paul Pabst Plan, Adolf Hitler city planner, after World War II, the city of Warsaw, so Warsaw Germanized, was supposed to include 50,000 of inhabitants of Aryan race on the other side of the river, and 150,000 of Polish people working for the Nazis as a cheap or free labor. In the central section of the Polish district, there was supposed to be flat square of a territory of the ghetto with Adolf Hitler monument. So the stone, the material changed in purpose. Now it's the monument of Heroes of Ghetto Uprising. Now it's a place where people from all around the world are coming so to commemorate and celebrate. And that's my amazing memory. Once I saw a group of teenagers from Israel in a circle, holding their arms, jumping and singing.
Right.
Like as if Polish national team won the World Cup. So I mean, like, why are you celebrating so much? I gently asked. Excuse me, why are you celebrating in here? I asked. And then one of the boys came to me and said, "Sir, it's a very good question you asked. We do celebrate in here because our nation survived."
As we have seen today, traveling is an integral part of learning history. Through the eyes of a tourist, given historical context by a guide, we were able to learn the events that shaped Poland and its culture. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and I'll see you next time on Poland Daily History.